Welcome to the Corporate Autopsy, where we open up the biggest brands in the world and show you exactly how the money died. In 1998, this company sold 1 out of every 4 toys in America. It had 1,450 stores and a giraffe that kids trusted more than most politicians. 20 years later, it was dead. But it did not die because it stopped selling toys. It died because of the money. At its peak, Toys R Us ran about 1,450 stores across the globe. It controlled roughly a quarter of the entire United States toy market. When you wanted a toy in America, this is where the whole family went. It was the first store of its kind, and for decades it had no real rival. It carried thousands of products, from bikes to board games, all under one enormous roof. Analysts called it the original category killer, a store so big it swallowed every competitor near it. Here is the strange part. Toys R Us did not lose to the internet, at least not only. It did not run out of customers, and it did not run out of toys. It died because of one decision made in a boardroom in 2005, a decision with almost nothing to do with toys and everything to do with money. The story starts in 1948, when Charles Lazarus opened a shop in Washington, D.C. He called it Children's Bargain Town, and at first he mostly sold baby furniture. Parents kept asking him for toys, so Lazarus followed the demand. In 1957, he opened the first true big-box toy store in Rockville, Maryland. He spelled the name with a backward R, so it looked like a child had written it. That small, clever detail told parents this store was built for their kids. The idea was simple but radical. Sell every toy imaginable, under one roof, at prices nobody could beat. The company went public in 1978, and the empire began to spread fast. To win children, the company needed a face, and it found one in a giraffe. Geoffrey the Giraffe became the mascot and reached television screens in 1973. Then came the jingle in the early 1980s. I do not want to grow up. I am a Toys R Us kid. That song burned itself into an entire generation's memory. For millions of children, this was not a store, it was a feeling. This was more than advertising. It was emotional capital, the kind of loyalty that money cannot easily buy. A whole generation grew up believing this store belonged to them, and that is exactly what makes the collapse so hard to watch. The scale of the machine was staggering. Toys R Us helped grow the American toy industry from about $500 million in 1950. By 1990, that same industry was worth roughly $12 billion. The company's bulk buying power let it undercut nearly everyone in the market. Manufacturers needed its shelves, and its shelves stretched for miles. For a while, this looked like a company that could not be stopped. But dominance makes a company comfortable, and comfortable companies stop watching the horizon. They assume the customers who always came will keep coming. On that horizon, 2 giants were already moving in. In the 1990s, Walmart and Target changed the game entirely. They used toys as loss leaders, selling them cheaply to pull families inside for the holidays. They did not need to profit on the toy, only on the full shopping cart. Toys R Us could not match a price that was designed to lose money. By the late 1990s, Walmart had passed it as America's top toy seller. For the first time, the king of toys was no longer number 1. Then came the internet, and the first real self-inflicted wound. In 1999, holiday shoppers crashed the Toys R Us website. Orders went unfilled, gifts arrived late, and the company panicked. Around the year 2000, Toys R Us signed a deal with a young company called Amazon. Amazon would run the entire online store for Toys R Us. The reported terms were about $50 million a year for 10 years, plus a cut of sales. In exchange, Toys R Us would be the exclusive toy and baby seller on the platform. On paper, it solved the website problem overnight. In practice, it handed the digital future to a direct competitor. Think about what that actually meant. For years, Toys R Us built no real e-commerce muscle of its own. It taught itself to be helpless online, while Amazon learned everything. The deal fell apart when Amazon began letting other toy sellers onto the platform. Toys R Us sued, arguing its promised exclusivity had been broken. It won a ruling and a judgment reported around $51 million and exited the deal by 2006. Whether Amazon intended the harm is still debated by analysts today. But the outcome was not up for debate. Toys R Us won the lawsuit, and it lost the war. By the time it walked away, it had lost roughly a decade online. A decade its rivals spent building the future. Still, none of this was fatal on its own. The fatal blow came from inside its own boardroom. In 2005, three powerful firms took Toys R Us private. KKR, Bain Capital, and Vornado Realty Trust joined forces to buy it. The deal was a leveraged buyout valued at about $6.6 billion. Shareholders were paid $26.75 a share, and the deal closed on July 21, 2005. It was legal, it was fully disclosed, and it was celebrated on Wall Street. It was also the beginning of the end. You need to understand what a leveraged buyout actually is. The buyers borrow most of the purchase price. Then the company they bought is made responsible for paying that debt back. The sponsors put in only about $1.3 billion of their own money. More than $5 billion was borrowed. Now the toy store carried a mountain of debt it never chose to take on. The buyout left Toys R Us owing roughly $400 to $500 million a year just in interest, almost $500 million gone before a customer walked in. That money could not go to lower prices for families. It could not go to cleaner stores, better employee pay, or the modern website it desperately needed. Sales kept coming in, but nearly every dollar of breathing room was spoken for before a single toy was sold. The company was busy, profitable at the store level, and quietly suffocating. This is the part people always misunderstand. The stores were not failing. The people were not failing. The capital structure was. While the company serviced its crushing debt, its new owners collected fees. Advisory and management fees were reported to total roughly $83 million over the buyout years. That works out to about $61 million for each of the three firms. All of it was disclosed, and all of it was legal. But labor advocates and analysts argue the structure was extractive. They say it pulled cash out of the company while the business itself was drowning. Defenders say this is simply how private equity works and that the risk was always disclosed. Critics say it is how a healthy company gets bled dry from the inside. Either way, the clock was running out and the interest never stopped. By 2017, the debt still topped $5 billion and a large chunk was coming due. Suppliers grew nervous about whether they would actually get paid. Some tightened their terms right before the crucial holiday season. Without goods on the shelves, a toy store has nothing to sell. In September 2017, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The goal was not to shut down. The plan was to restructure the debt, reorganize the business, and survive. For a moment, there was real hope. Bankruptcy can be a reset, a chance to shed crushing debt and start again with a cleaner balance sheet. Lenders and executives talked openly about saving the brand, but the reset never came. In March 2018, the reorganization failed, and the company moved to liquidate. About 735 United States stores were marked for closing. Roughly 31,000 to 33,000 employees lost their jobs, many after decades of loyal service. Workers were initially left with no severance at all, despite about $75 million reportedly owed to them. After heavy public pressure, KKR and Bain created a hardship fund of about $20 million, far short of what was owed. Days after the liquidation news, founder Charles Lazarus died on March 22, 2018, at the age of 94. So who really killed Toys R Us? Let us be honest about the whole autopsy. Amazon and Walmart squeezed the sales, and management outsourced its own digital future to a rival. But a healthy, unleveraged Toys R Us would have had the cash to fight back. The debt removed every option it had. The lesson is this: a company can be beloved, profitable, and busy, and still be dead on arrival. The most dangerous threat is rarely competition. It is the cost of the money you owe. Toys R Us was not out-innovated. It was out-borrowed. Subscribe and tell me which dead brand we should autopsy next. Blockbuster? Sears? Radio Shack? The next body is already on the table. And that is how the money died. If you want more corporate autopsies, subscribe, and I will see you at the next postmortem.